not only just going to destabilize Nigeria, they will destabilize Niger Republic as well. And this is the handiwork of France. How do you fight this terrorist sponsor who have done everything to keep your region, to keep this West African region totally, or more like ungovernable? We've had instances just yesterday, was it 2 days ago? What is that guy's name? Christopher Musa, your chief of defense staff, came out and said some of these NGOs, he didn't mention them, he said some of these NGOs they are doing what they are treating terrorists. They are also using their NGO licenses, right, to move their trucks to give food to the terrorists, okay, to give medical supplies to them, including weapons. We have had instances where, what do you call it? The unknown choppers will fly into the forest to drop weapons, like to dump weapons for this terrorist. Nigeria was supposed to be the big brother. And these guys have been at it for decades, for years. So if he comes out and say, well, all of you should begin to get ready, because the people we chased out of Niger, France, they have now given them a base in Borno, even though they have not started building it. But yes, they have been given a base in Borno, somewhere for them, so that from there they can coordinate all these terrorist activities within the region. Abache, you have to even doubt that. What exactly is the essence of the French forces, French base in this Sahel region? And yet the terrorists continue to come down south, like keep coming down to Nigeria. What is the essence of France there? They've been there for years. And most of the areas that have witnessed this endless insecurity, terrorism, they are areas with abundant mineral resources. That is of interest of France. Listen to this part.
Tinubu, Abasu, Wuri, Borno, mun tura mutane sun je ba Nigeria suna da iko ba, su tura iko aje a yi bincike dajin baga wannan iyaka wannan waje wata hudu na yi babu inda ban sani ba. Mutane sun yi bincike sun tabbatar da Faransa suna cikin wani wuri da wani tsibiri da aka ce ma kurna. Yan Niger akwai waɗanda sun kai 2008 2008 mun yi zama tare can wurin sun sani. Akwai wani da aka ce ma kurna, akwai wani wuri da aka ce ma kangarwa, akwai wani wuri da aka ce ma dogon cuku, akwai wata tsibiri da su turawan da sun ka bata suna Canada sun ka ce mata. Sun kai ɗoka ƴan jihohi wannan na kewaye da baga kasan Mungunu, in ka tashi da Mungunu daga Maiduguri hanya ce zuwa ka je Mungunu, daga Mungunu sai ka je har can baga wannan. To bagan nan duk kewaye in ka wuce sai ka je iyaka Chad, duk wajen nan sun ɗoki 'yan ƙasa su 'yan Faransa kuma sane da shugabannin Najeriya sun sa su cikin wannan hali. Babban kamfani sun kai wannan wuri sai sun ka bashi suna Canada. Suna nan ciki. Don duk sun sani, babu wanda bai sani. Ghana ban sani ba, amma tabbata bisa kai ga tsarin da sun kai daga tsibirin mission de défense za a kai shi détachement de liaison inter-armée, kuma waɗancan ƙasashen duk da na gaya ma tabbata ne. Amma ban cewa bandan Najeriya da Benin sarwa ƙasashe sun sani ba su sani, Allahumma alam. Amma shi dai Allah ba a zalumin sarki ba ne. Najeriya da Benin sun sani, waɗancan sun sani ba su sani, Allahumma alam. Amma kaji bayanin da zan iya bada bisa kai ga wannan sabon tsarin da sun ka hito da shi, wanda shi makon su ba Tinubu a basu.
He has allocated a place for them in Borno, which is France. You can understand his own grouse with France because they have been direct victim of France's meddlesomeness in their affair. So you can give that to him and say, okay, but don't ever say, why didn't he stop the terrorist? If you don't know the history, if you don't know the story, the ideal thing for you is to possibly read more. Like I said, Niger Republic used to have a very good relationship with Nigeria in fighting these terrorists. In fact, some people usually believe that Niger Republic was the one sponsoring the terrorists so that they could collect money from Nigeria. Nigeria used to pay them millions of dollars. Because why? Nigeria believed that if Niger is well equipped, they can reduce the influx of these terrorists into Nigeria. And it used to work. And during that time, Niger Republic always are those who were recording their military. They are the one recording most casualties in the hand of these terrorists. Go and read more about it. Go and read about the story. If you go back to 2005, 2006, then 2010, then 2015, you can read about the casualties of the Nigerian soldiers in the hands of some of these terrorists who are now, as you now have them who have their stronghold in Nigeria, Boko Haram to be precise. So they don't have the same military might like that of Nigeria. Assuming Nigeria genuinely, this is why 2015 shouldn't have happened to Nigeria when it happened, which further legitimized the terrorism in Nigeria. So on several occasions that Niger had pulled off, they have pulled out, rather than challenge the terrorists whenever they are migrating, they just let them pass. Because as they are passing through the border, Nigeria no get border anyway. So it's just like free entry into Nigeria. So when Goodluck Ebele Jonathan was mauling them, using the South African mercenaries at the time, these northern politicians, northern clerics, they used the media to castigate Jonathan. They said Jonathan was systematically killing them in northern Nigeria, not the terrorists, until they got him out of power. And immediately he got out of power, he became, for like two years, it was like a free direct entry. They regrouped. Yeah, they regrouped. And they became even stronger than you can imagine. Now, we now have Boko Haram. We have ISWAP. We have Lakurawa now. You have the Fulani terrorists and all other kind of terrorists in Nigeria. So what is Niger doing? Niger is not going to fight what Nigeria has a capability of actually ending, destroying totally. So this guy came out and said, well, we've discovered that the reason why terrorism will never end is because the people behind it, they are not just Nigerians, or they are not just Nigerians. There are other foreign interests in all of this. Suma once said that too. Remember, this Ajia.
Kabiru Sokoto was one of the most wanted terrorists, and he was found and arrested in his house. Let us understand and let us not forget, this terrorism, this banditry, this carnage is not just happening by mistake. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. A multi-billion-dollar industry because it takes a lot of money on defense budget. It has a lot to do with the sale of drugs. It has a lot to do with mining and illegal bunkering and illegal and illicit mining. And look at the areas that are generally affected by this. Take the Northeast, for instance. In the Northeast, you have the blue diamond. That is a strategic mineral. You have oil at the Chad Basin that is being explored right now, but illegally. You have Zamfara. If you go to Zamfara, Zamfara has more gold than Ghana. Zamfara's gold is being traded in Dubai and other parts of the country. There is a market called Nigerian gold in Dubai. Go and check. So who is doing this mining? Most times they are the governors, the people in power. They are the ones doing it in connivance. In connivance with foreign mercenaries. Can you remember? Have we forgotten when they said there is a no-fly zone in Zamfara? Why should there be a no-fly zone? There isn't even an airport in Zamfara. But aircrafts land and they take off from Zamfara. And let me tell you something else. In Zamfara, every container that comes from China ends up in Zamfara. You know why? Because in Zamfara, the soil in Zamfara has all the strategic minerals that you can think of. So when the containers come in from China, they land they end in Zamfara, and a bag of Zamfara soil is today sold at 5,000. So they need to displace the people to allow them to continue with their mining. I mean, it's multifaceted. And these are people that
So you can say it is conspiracy theory, because it is easier said, like just say, oh, it's conspiracy theory, Jerry, and then you will ignore all other facts that are easier for, I mean, they are kind of easier to decipher, right? Why is it that areas with some valuable mineral resources are the areas where the insurgency, terrorism are pretty much higher? Why is that? Why do you have ungoverned areas and then Nigeria has remained kind of like powerless in returning people back to their communities for 10 years now? Nigeria has been unable to return them back to their communities. Activities of these terrorists in those communities continues. When Lakurawa, I mean, they said this Lakurawa that you are now hearing about, they have been in Nigeria now since 2018, 6 years ago, when they were first discovered. Do you know those who defended them? Nigerian army. Nigerian army came out and said there's no cause for alarm. They are not violent. Yes, they are religious people, this and that. And do you know that this same Lakurawa is believed to also be funded by France? This Lakurawa has been fighting Nigerian government even before the coup took place last year. The Nigerian government are part of they are actually the arrowhead of those who chased them enter Nigeria. When they entered Nigeria, Nigerian security intelligence community, they declared them as terrorists. They said they were peaceful Islamists. Until their victims, especially in Sokoto, started making videos of how they are raiding them and how they are beheading and killing them. It took them 6 years before they are now kind of, and do you know that up till now, Lakurawa, Boko Haram, Fulani terrorists, they are not designated terrorists in Nigeria. Even though they might tell you that they are fighting them or they blah, blah, blah. Do you know that these 3 terrorist groups, they are not designated terrorists in Nigeria? No. They are treated as criminals. Like on the surface. Yeah, they are like criminals. Because according to them, there are some criminal elements among them. That is why, rather than actually treat them as terrorists in Nigeria, Nigeria military is rehabilitating them. Is that also conspiracy theory? Can you call that conspiracy theory as well? That there is no trial of these terrorists in Nigeria because they are not designated as terrorists in Nigeria. They are not. But he will tell you that they have rehabilitated over 200,000 active fighters of these terror groups as repentant terrorists in Nigeria. over 200,000. And yet, the terrorism has not reduced a single day. Yesterday, when everyone is celebrating Christmas, it was a bloody one for the people of Sokoto, the Lawe local government area, or I don't know if I pronounced that right, too, but these two communities, Didambisa, as well as Rutua communities in Sokoto State. From nowhere, the Nigerian Air Force, okay, they appeared and they started dropping bombs on them. They said they received a report that the Lakurawa terrorists were grouping in the community. And these were just community of Hausas. Civilians, children, women, children, they bombed them into ashes. And that is not the first time I have seen. It's not the first time of them bombing civilians and killing them, only to claim that it was, an error. It was a mistake. But this particular one, quick, they just jumped on social media. They said, no, nothing like that happened. Nigerian army went on social media to say the Nigerian Air Force, they have carried out an operation to neutralize terrorists. Guess what? They were civilians, women, children, in their homes, in their communities, bombed. So it was when the dust settled that it now became obvious that they couldn't cover this up. They couldn't. They now came out and said, oh, it was a mistake. Let me show you the whole surrounding. Because those Olori Bruku working for Tinubu, who came out to call it a fake news, majority of them just disappeared after the truth hit everybody within hours. But no single Lakurawa lost his life in that operation. And no one, not a single person, the person that gave the order for the operation, those who carried it out, not a single Air Force official has been arrested so far. It's a mistake. The life of those people don't even worth anything. Of course. Let me show you what this was like after.
Okay, nan ma akwai mutane ciki ke. Kamar nan cikin ɗakin ga. Mutum nawa? Inna lillahi inna ilaihi.
Nan kaga yanzu abinci na ka ci ko?
Ne ga haiki.
Gero na kaga gashi nan.
Akwai wasu can gaba.
Akwai mutane. Tana da zaka dawo gaban to Hausawa na babu wata kabila.
Kace babu wata kabila na.
Babu wata kabila. Babu Bihillaci, babu Bayarbe, babu Inyamuri, babu wani abin nan. Kabilar su Hausawa na manoma ne. Talakawa na manoma na gargajiya. Sannan duk tashin hankalin da aka bai shahe su ba. Don ko kadangare bai shigo su inda mugun dana.
Subhanallah.
Wani tare da su.
Nan kenan kamar karin bob din ne tayar da kwano.
Nan iskan bob din nan na. Ya kada wannan.
Subhanallah.
Sannan ma an
sannu habu ya Allah, sannu Allah ya sauƙaƙa, so sannun kuwa mama, sannu Allah ya sauƙaƙa, Allah ya sauƙaƙa, Allah ya isa muku, Allah ya sauƙaƙa, Allah ya saka muku, Allah shi mai da alai, ayi hankuri mama, ayi hankuri, a bar mu Allah, Allah ya sauƙaƙa.
Ka san ba a duru ba a ta.
Gaskiya.
Dole na sai an ga da kuma. Shi ko wani shina yawo a kan mutane.
To yanzu abu an samu asarar rayuka da dukiya ciki ko?
An samu rayuka waɗanda suka gusa mutum 9. Dabba dabba an kuma ga suna ina ganin raƙumi uku ne ko da jakkai da sauran abubuwa
an samu asarar
sannan gidaje da abinci shi kan ba mu misali
gaskiya na to Allah ya sauka Allah ya mai suwa da alheri Allah ya sauka subhanallah wannan raƙumi ne ko sannun kuwa yawa sannun kuwa Allah ya mai su da alheri wannan
nan shi abinci bai ɗarguwa ka ga wani raƙumi ko inda babu ya fara ko ka ga kawo sun kaka
Allah ya sauka
nan duk shagunan da ka gani abinci ba
gaskiya nan
yawa ka gani nan ko ka ga nan dabba karamar dabba
Assalamu alaikum sannu malla sannu Allah mai
ka ga ramin da ya tashi babban tashi nan babba
oke nan wanga wurin na ya tashi nan kenan nan na fahimci kenan inda fam din ne ya faɗo kenan
kai dan jami'in
ne haɗu kuma duk shi ya kosin ɗin waɗanga wagaban nat.
Na ka duba waɗancan tsarar dabbobi na da kwanan can. Don wurin da yake da mutuwa ba kaga kashi nan da hagan.
I mean, the Nigerian Air Force, they are popular for mistakenly bombing, civilians. They have mistakenly bombed their own soldiers too. They gave them intel to go and fight terrorists. On their way there, Air Force came and bombed them. There are videos. Videos are bound on the internet if you want to see how much of this. And nothing ever touches the terrorist per se. Nothing. So in Niger Republic, with this latest, to show this support for their own junta, the people came out today to call on the head of Tinubu and Nigeria.
Ga Niger su yi to maza da mata, Allah tsine ma Tinubu, Allah tsine ma Tinubu, Allah tsine ma Tinubu, Allah tsine ma Tinubu. Ga mu nan majalisa mun yi Allah wadai, Allah tsine ma Tinubu. Ga Niger su yi to maza da mata, Allah tsine ma Tinubu albarka, Allah tsine ma Tinubu.
Make Allah destroy Tinubu. That's probably what he's saying. But in the northwest again of Nigeria, where Bello Turji Bello Turji reigns supreme, a man that they claimed to have been killed twice. And most of his acolytes, those who are like with him, other terrorists like himself, are said to have either been killed or arrested. The guy came out yesterday to issue another threat. So the civilians he has been killing, kidnapping, collecting ransom from. He is a king on his own. Nigeria is so useless. Nigerian army is so useless in fighting or defending Nigeria or protecting Nigerians that they have to wait for some of these terrorists to even clash. You hear that ISWAP is fighting Boko Haram and they kill themselves. Over 200 terrorists dead. Not by Nigeria, but by the terrorists themselves, fighting over territory. What are the territories? The territories where they are stealing the different kind of mineral resources, including crude oil. And what are they getting in return? They are getting weapons and weapons and weapons. Once they steal any mineral resources anywhere, they go about and give it to their foreign sponsor, who will then give them weapons. So Nigeria is so weak, right, that they have to wait for the fight between two terror groups or three and then see if they can decimate themselves. And every now and then, these terrorists are also recruiting. They are recruiting the uneducated, poor Nigerians in northern Nigeria. It is the most lucrative industry in Nigeria right now, terrorism industry. So here, I don't know if Garba Live, Celia, if you can help me do some interpretation here again. I want to believe that Bello Turuji is also speaking Hausa here. Latu Aruno, maybe you can help as well, all right? Here is the latest warning from Bello Turuji to Nigeria.